here's our video on powers of 10, part 3, division. Okay, so let's just review multiplication for a minute. If we had an integer, let's say 5, and an integer is any number that's not a fraction or a decimal, but we can make 5 a decimal, right? We can make it 5.0, or we could just leave it at 5. So if we had, let's say, 5 times 10 to the 4th power, well, remember in multiplication, we're going to move the decimal, and where's the decimal? It's right there. It's invisible, right? It's right in front of the number. So if you ever see a number like, let's say, 6, well, there's a decimal right there, 6.0. Okay, so let's go back to 5. So it's 5 times 10 to the 4th power, and with the decimals telling us to move, the exponent is telling us to move the decimal 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have the 4 waves, so we have 4 zeros. Right? 4 zeros there, 50,000. So we can look at it like this. When we have an integer without a decimal, the exponent tells us how many zeros we should have. But when we have a decimal, the exponent is telling us how far to move it. Or you can do both with an integer, right? So let's look at this again. Let's say we had a 7. 7 times 10 to the 5th power. So you can look at it like this. We should have 5 zeros because we have no decimal here. Or if we make it a decimal, just move it 5 times. Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if we see that there. Move that over a little more. So we should have 5 zeros in these waves. So 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 700,000. So, with multiplication, we move to the right. Division, just the opposite. We move to the left. So let's look at an example. Let's say we had 34 times 10 to the 2nd power. Bring that up. 34 times 10 to the 2nd power. So if this was multiplication, we would move this twice to the right. But since it's division, we're going to move it twice to the left. So where do we move it from? Well, remember, the decimal is there. 34 means 34.0. So let's write it over here. 34.0 divided by 10 to the 2nd power. We're going to move to the left. 1, 2. And it becomes 0.34. So just like multiplication, but we just go the other way. Simple as that. Okay, let's look at another example here. So it's 3.4 divided by 10 to the 5th power. The exponent right here, it's telling us to move this decimal 5 times. And it's division, so we're going to the left. Remember, multiplication, to the right. Division, to the left. Let's bring it over here so we have more room. Move it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where the decimal is now. Don't keep 2 decimals, by the way. I've seen some students do that. So we have our waves. We have one wave has a 3 in it, but we have all these empty waves. We got to fill them with zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's a very small number. Okay? So let's try this one by ourselves. And you should pause the tape. See if you can do this one. Okay, so again, here's the exponent. It's telling us that we should move this 3 times. Where? To the left. Good. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3. And we'll get 0.4352. That's our answer. Okay, here's one more. How many times should we move this? Where's the exponent? Well, if you remember, if there's no exponent, there's always a 1 there. Remember that sometimes the 1 could be invisible? So this is saying to move the decimal once. 1 time. You get 0.122. Okay, so remember, with multiplication, move it to the left. With division, move it to the right. Okay, great job.